Do you have trouble remembering names? I sure do. Tell me if this has happened to you before. You're at a party and you meet someone interesting. They introduce themselves right off the bat, but in the ensuing lively conversation, you totally blanked on their name. The conversation continues, and one thing leads to another, and eventually it gets to the point where asking them for their name would feel super embarrassing. It's kind of like we already exchanged all this personal information about our lives, but who are you again? It just feels a bit embarrassing, like you dropped the ball. Well, fear not. Today, I'm giving you a handy party trick for getting your conversation partner to restate their name without any awkwardness. What is up, Explearners? Mary Daphne here of Explearning.co, where we believe social skills are the key to the good life. What's the good life? It's where you call the shots, you have a crew you can count on, and you are on a mission that you care about. Now, before I jump in, I wanted to tell you about a great free resource that we've created for the Explearning community. It's a comprehensive small talk guide. Click the link in the description box below to get the downloadable delivered straight to your inbox. So here you are. You've been chatting with someone for a good 15 minutes. You know where they're from, what they do for work, what TV shows and books they love, but you completely forgot their name. Not just a little bit forgot, where you recall the first few letters of their name but can't make out the rest. No, I mean fully blanked on it. As in, you couldn't say if it was Frank or Bartholomew. And the longer the conversation goes, the more agitating it becomes. It's time to put an end to that. Let's look at 2 handy strategies you can whip out at any social gathering when you've forgotten someone's name. Strategy 1, as you converse with the person, instead of facing them head on, toes pointed towards them, angle yourself around 45 degrees away from them. It can help you to angle your back foot outward to achieve this. Think about clock hands at 12 and 2 instead of 12 and 12. This open stance will invite someone to step in and join the conversation, which is what you want here. Now, this could go one of 2 ways. 1, if you recognize the person approaching, you can say, allow me to introduce you to Sally. So you're introducing the person whose name you already know to the person whose name you've forgotten. Then as they shake hands, the person whose name you've forgotten will reintroduce themselves. Now, remember it this time. Fortunately, this also works if you don't know the person joining your conversation. So it's a similar drill. So in the second scenario, as the person approaches, greet the person, extend your hand, and say your name. And then the other person with whom you've been conversing, right, whose name you forgot, will do the same and will restate their name in the process. Listen up for it. Pretty cool, right? Strategy 2. Okay, so now there's another neat way to get around the problem. It's actually a variation of strategy 1, but this time you take a more proactive role in the process. So instead of standing around and, waiting for another person to join in on your conversation, find someone else in the room whom you recognize and tell your conversation partner that you must introduce that person to them. Bring that person to your existing acquaintance and say, allow me to introduce my friend Rupert. And then Rupert shakes hands and introduces himself, at which point your conversation partner repeats their name. Presto! Now, these strategies will only work if you are paying close attention throughout the entire process. You've been given a second chance to remember their name, but you'll only do so if you're prepared for the moment that they repeat it. So this time, be sure to listen up when they do. And as for remembering their name long-term, a pro tip for that is to take down their contact info at the end of the conversation. And to do that, you can say something like, "It's so great to meet another person who's interested in XYZ. We should definitely keep in touch. Would you mind sharing your email address?" That way, you'll be able to write down their name, which you've remembered this time, right? Along with their contact info. Shazam! Okay, so at this point, you should feel a bit more confident about your name game. Let's quickly recap. Adopt an open stance with your conversation partner, and as soon as someone else joins the discussion, repeat the introduction process. If no one seems to be joining your conversation, take matters into your own hands by seeking out another person in the room that you know, and bring your conversation partner to them and trigger the introductions yourself. If you enjoy your conversation, be sure to get their contact information so that you can stay in touch and also have a written record of their name. Again, the key here is to make sure that you're listening up when they repeat their name. You'd be surprised how easy it is to miss it a second time around. Now, if you do miss their name again, it's certainly not the end of the world, so don't freak out. You can always ask them again directly. Most people will be understanding and just laugh it off. In fact, they'll likely be grateful that you cared enough to make the effort to ask them their name again. But if you can pull off the above strategies, you can save yourself a little bit of embarrassment and win some style points in the process. So now that I've shared our thoughts, I would love to hear about your solutions to getting someone to repeat their name. Are there any other ways that you can think of that have worked for you? Share that with me and the Explearning community in the comments down below. And if you loved this lesson, please be sure to let us know. You can give this video a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to join our tribe of Explearners so that you never miss a lesson. And if you ring that bell, you'll get notified about new lessons and our weekly live streams. Email this video to a friend or a coworker who also wants to supercharge their social strategies. And while we're at it, feel free to share this video with your friends on Facebook and Twitter as well. And remember, the write-ups of these lessons are always available on our blog over at explearning.co/blog. With that, have an awesome week, Explearners. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time for your next Explearning lesson. Happy Explearning!